Hello gamers, another day, another YAP video coming your way. They will keep coming your way as well. I can't actually wait to get into the gameplay, but for now we'll keep it to the yapping. You saw this article yesterday already. Update 2.0 Matchmaker Reforged. Now this is a very hot topic, I think, for very many players. There's some loppity lop here, but let's go over the core feature benefits in our opinion on it. The smarter team composition. The Matchmaker balances teams by combat role as well as vehicle type. I mean, that we haven't had this for the longest time is already beyond me. And I think that's kind of down to, we have classes, tank destroyers, heavies, mediums, lights, and artilleries. However, these classes within itself have pretty high difference. Now, can you blame Wargaming for that? Of course you can, because the 268 V4 might as well be classed as a heavy, even though it doesn't have a turret. To me, that's semantics. For the balance, would have helped a long time ago to have something like this. No longer an E3 versus a Guerrilla, a V4 versus a Guerrilla. All of those kind of matchups are going to be way closer to each other. It's not potentially going to make the games closer, but at least there's one less thing to complain about. I think this is a good change, and I think they should even expand upon the roles that we have currently in the game as it is. Because a V4 is an assault tank destroyer, and I think an E3 is also an assault tank destroyer. However, there's still a big difference between them in terms of speed, so maybe we should have a little bit more roles even. But that is, just my opinion. Of course, I understand the more roles you add, the longer it will take for the MM to find a match. I get that, I understand that, but I am entitled to my opinion, just as you are entitled to yours. I would like to go even further. Now comes the part. Class limits for tactical variety. Keep the battles dynamic and diverse. The new Matchmaker enforces the following limits in the majority of battles, with hard limits on artillery. I'm going to be honest, of course, this is worst case scenario, right? And ideally with the release of tier 11, because there's less tank destroyers, and there's only one light tank, and there's no artillery, this template will become less popular and more like heavies will fill it, because I'm going to be real with you. I've talked about it beforehand, and people are always saying man, you were so much in Wargaming's pocket. This is not hard enough. You see, where there is room to be critical, you should be critical. This is not harsh enough. I understand that this is a max, max, we don't want more than this, but this is too much already. I think we can all agree, at least from my perspective, that 3 lights on most maps is a detriment. It really, really is. Let's not even talk about 3 artillery, but 3 lights is a detriment on the battle. It really lowers the HP pool, and there's no room for 3 lights. There really is no room for 3 lights. There's no room for 3 IDs either, and the 5 tank destroyers, depending on what tank destroyers they are, is still too much of the bad stuff. Double Guerrilla, double FV, whatever. It's not good. It's not good. It's not enough. In my mind, this should be max 1 per battle. I don't want to remove artillery from the game, but more than 1 is usually just not a good thing. Unless they rework stun, unless they do something about the annoyance that artillery causes, where it turns your crew of thousands and thousands of battles in a bunch of whimpering wussies. 1 is where I put the, anything past it becomes just not good for the quality of the battle, in my opinion. A cap of 5 TDs, again, okay, but not enough. It should be, in my opinion, max 2 lights, max 1 RD, 2 if I really have to for the Matchmaker, and 4, which means that 2, 4, ideally I got up to 7 if it's 1, but I'm willing to give 8. Means that half the team is interesting, and the other half can still be healthy. Now, if you count up the limit, 3, 3, 6 plus 5 is 11. That gives you 2/3 of the team that could be BS, and only 4 tanks that could be healthy. I think that's a pretty big thing. So there, I do not think that we're going far enough. We should be harsher on these limits. But I hope that with tier 11 coming out, the focus shifts from those tank destroyers to mediums and heavies, where heavies are supposed to make up the core of your battle. They're supposed to be the bulk that really plays the game. Mediums, of course, They kind of play as well, but not as actively proactive and engaged as the heavies. And I'm not saying that because I'm supposedly a heavy tank lover. I'm just saying that if you don't have any heavies and everybody's in a tank destroyer and a light, the battle's garbage most of the time for everybody involved. So you need that healthy core. You need those tanks that take positions, boost positions, and control the map in a way. +1. Expect more +1 tier battles, giving you tighter matchups and reducing extreme tier spreads. +2 tier battles remain part of the mix for flavor and a bit. Okay, this is a good thing. I think we've all agreed, not all, I cannot say all. I think most of us agree that +2 for a lot of people is just like annoying, very annoying. It isn't always for me, but it can be for me as well because I'm simply good at the game. I mean, you call it ego, it's just the way it is. I'm good at the game, so I can play in a disadvantaged situation and still put a good result. A lot of people cannot do that and really struggle with these higher tier matchups. So more +1, -1 is a benefit, especially for struggle tiers that really where the power gap between bottom and high tier is really high. For example, tier 7, when it meets tier 9, it's completely useless. I don't even like playing tier 7 when I play tier 9 because there's no HP. There's nothing to play against. They die too quickly. It's not really fun for me. Even, you know, tier 6 and 8. 8 and 10 is less big IMO than 6 and 8, for example. The power gaps are a bit bigger. So I would say this is a good thing. I understand that there's going to be people saying, but my variety. But my variety. Meeting tier 8 gives me more variety. There's so many tanks in the game at this point that there's plenty of variety to be found in every battle is playing against different tanks. So losing some variety for a healthier environment for everybody else is something to be encouraged. I understand, you know, when you have 200,000 battles, you want to put maximum on variety, but for most people, I think this is a good thing. It makes it easier to grind. It makes it a bit easier to play. You face off more against your own tier as well. Sure, you'll have less unique battles in a way, like a battle in tier 8 where you overcome all odds and you do an incredible amount of damage and get a stunning result. That will happen less. Of course, that will happen less. No more same tank armies. I was thinking about this actually. And I don't, you know, when G the tank, patent the tank, or assembly shop tanks gets released, I don't really mind that the teams are filled with them, to be honest. I was thinking about it. It's more of a thing like when you release something that's bad for the MM, like a DBV. When you have 10 DBVs against 10 DBVs, that's a problem. But other tanks, like having the same of them, sure. I mean, you know, it's not a bad thing, but it's like, I was thinking about it more. It's like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. Faster matches, smarter queue. Unified queue lets the matchmaker adapt in real time. System aims to reduce waiting time to allow for balanced teams, even though off peak. It just means that it's like able to change its parameters to keep up to date with how many people it have in the queue. And this is like really like a small thing, but it's actually a big thing. Separate battle modes and counter assault and ground battles have been retired for now, freeing up matchmaker resources previously spent on working in several queues. Now, I don't think that this covers nearly enough because literally that's the whole article. To explain quickly and briefly what this is saying is that right now the matchmaker has 3 queues, maybe even 4. 3 I'm certain of. Random battles, assault, and encounter. All 3 of those are individual queues. Now, assault and encounter, from my experience, are not very popular amongst the general player base anyways, even though they have been enabled by default. I think a lot of people have them turned off. So you can let me know in the comments if you have it turned off. But I really like those. I'm sad we're losing those. But I understand that because of all the other rules that they're implementing, the 3 queues puts a lot of stress on the matchmaker as well. And that having 3 separate queues, where 2 of them are not really popular, but you have to check if the player can play assault or not, and encounter, and have 3 different queues, eats up a lot of resources that can possibly be spent more wisely for a healthier game for everybody. So am I sad that they're being retired for now? Yes, I am sad. There's a lot of assault maps and encounter maps that I really like and that I really like playing. However, from my perspective, if it's for the overall health of the game and for everybody else healthier, I can live with it going away so everybody else gets a little bit of like better battles in return. I can live with it. I'm sad about it. I understand why it's being done, and I can live with it because, you know, to get everything else, I have to give up this. So be it. Like I said, I'm sad about it, but so be it. So be it. If that's what it takes, I am willing to pay the price. And the second thing that I think is good about it being retired is that we have some horribly balanced assault modes, even encounter modes. And the thing is, you cannot really design your map around assault and encounter. You'd almost have to take the same map, make a copy of it, and then adjust it for assault, because the problems you have in assault are not necessarily the problems you have in random battles, and the problems you have in encounter, yet again, are not necessarily the problems you have in assault or in randoms. So like making map changes, not that they're doing it, but if they were, it's a bit hard because you can't balance it around one or the other mode. So yes, all in all, this is a minor thing in their article, but I think it could be a big thing for people. I understand that this is just a bad picture because nothing really changes here except for 2 things. Not really know why they have the picture. But my question is, I'm not going to yap too long today. What do you think about this new Matchmaker, especially the limits, the +1, -1, and the removal of encounter and assault? How do you feel about it? What do you think about it? And let me know in the comments down below. I will read through them. And yeah, hope to see you guys all on the very, very next video. Hope you guys enjoyed the yap. See you soon. Have a good one.